渦巻きナルトが帰ってきたぞ。力を貸してくれ。よっしゃ、第7班ここに復活だってばよ。
ここは俺に任せてもらった。4代目他目を超える忍びはお前しかいないと俺はそう信じた。
私はもっと強くなる。いやさよなら。今度は背中合わせで行くわよ。
見せてやるよ、シャリンガンの本当の力をな。力が湧いてくる。相変わらずやかましい奴らだ。
Tôi nói cũng biết này, thời buổi đừng cái tin cái gì trên mạng, có không hiểu không? Nhưng mà thôi, không linh tinh nữa. Vào game đi, nhanh, khẩn trương nhá. Ui giời ơi.
Piu piu,
Đỗ Messi,
nuốt 250 của tao không trôi đâu.
tao thích.
Ngày hôm nay nợ máu phải trả bằng nước màu.
Lên đường.
Piu piu,
Đỗ Messi,
piu piu,
Đỗ Messi,
piu piu.
Đỗ Messi. Thôi, ông làm gì làm luôn đi. Đỗ Messi.
Thời này ai còn bem như ngoài đời thật. Muốn giải quyết mâu thuẫn hãy vào Mobile Legends.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
Piu ơi, lùi đừng 1-3. Piu đừng piu.
Ok, bạn ơi, lên, 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 lên,
Cố lên cho anh ơi.
Để giúp anh.
Bạn hết chúng nó đi anh em. Này thì mày quýnh tao này.
Yeah! Chơi game là phải như thế chứ.
Phải Vinita, Legend. Bốn anh em mình, Legend.
Vinita, Legend.
Nhưng mà nhớ giả bạn 250 nhé.
They said there's a limit in the women's league. In MWI, we say limit? Watch us bounce from the MWI queens everyone knows, to the stars who came out from nowhere, to the ultimate champions. Now, MWI is expanding greater than ever. Turkey, EECA, Africa, Mongolia, and beyond. We're stretching the map wider. MWI, where dreams get louder. This isn't just a tournament. It's your passport to the world stage. A spotlight for women in the EWC. No rules, no ceilings, no limits. Just this. We're vibrant.
And we are here. We stand together in this very moment. The Mekong rising, emerging from the heart of the Mekong River. Only one name will rise with blazing spirit, destined to conquer the summit at MWI once again at EWC 2025. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MWI 2025 Mekong Qualifier, proudly hosted in Vietnam. Once again, we have been at it here for some days, and it's all led to this, the grand final, a best of 7 for us. Once again, I'm Naisu, joined here with my casting partner, Realize, how we doing, man?
Doing very great. Obviously, we were able to watch a few of the games. I think it was 2 days ago. It was all a sweep, 3-0, 3-0 for VP, and of course our RLG Vietnam, and now they will fare off against each other today in this grand final to get themselves a slot and the ticket to the EWC MWI wildcard stages.
That is the prize, I would say, that spot at MWI. This is another little glimpse of what we witnessed, like you mentioned a couple days ago. We had 2 best of 5s for the playoffs. Again, our good casters, Gani and Gani and Churros. Yeah. That's right. Husky's over on the other stream with Leo, but yeah, Gani and Churros, they went through the group stages. We led to this point where we covered the playoffs, and now down to that final match between VIRTUS.PRO and RLG Gaming for Vietnam. Both these teams competed in the VMC Queens Open 2025. So RLG Vietnam was the runner-up there. VIRTUS.PRO was the champions. It was a sweep the last time they met. And once again, this is what they are all fighting for. The champion prize pool there of 1,000 USD plus that spot at the MWI wildcard. Second place, you got the 500 USD, and third and fourth, which have already been decided, that is the 250 USD. So the total prize pool of 2,000 there. You can see the ladies, they're already prepped and ready to go. Again, this is the grand final. And just to kind of catch people up to speed here that might have missed the matches a couple days ago, realize, like, what was the biggest thing that we saw there, especially for VIRTUS.PRO? Like, this is a team with success, with experience. What was the biggest standout from them for you?
I think the standout is obviously Liv. That's one. She went 3 games unbeaten, or rather undefeated at all. She didn't even
MVPs.
Yeah, she was getting racking up those MVPs. She didn't even die a single game, and she was indeed one of the power. I'd say like the winning conditions that VIRTUS.PRO does have when they're able to play from that gold lane and activate Liv, funnel all the resources to her. She's able to carry the team and carry the team fights in the end of the game as well. For RLG Vietnam, this team is also heavily contesting this spot because they are indeed very strong as well. I mean, we're talking about Pookie with that performance in the Harith, and as well as how these 2 teams are actually able to play according to the meta. I mean, sure, at some point they will try to, plow out a cheese pick or, come out with something surprising. But at the same time, they're really sticking to the meta and they know exactly what they're doing, not only on the draft, but also on the execution. The macro plays are also there as well. So it's very interesting to see how then, like, when you kind of like show meta against meta, it's down to execution. And this is what we're gonna look forward to. I mean, in game later on, it's the battle of the bronze and the brains at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we were in those days in the playoffs, the first day that we had there, that was kind of the thing. We're like, man, how different is the draft going to be? How different is the execution going to be? Speaking of the draft, we're going to jump into draft game 1 here, and that's the thing. We saw very meta-based picks for both of these teams. But I would say, obviously, again, with VP as they are on the blue side here, they're very, I feel like, decisive on what they want, like game plan wise. And we also got to see them kind of change things out where they even have some niche lineups themselves. They were the ones that brought out the Alice and the Angela, for example.
Alice,
you know, and you don't see teams do that too often. So again, interesting. And looking back on their VMC Grand Final, like I said, that was also a best of 7 where VIRTUS.PRO won all. They swept all 4 games. So the way that I look at it, anytime we have situations like this where you have this rematch come up, what I'm expecting is RLG Vietnam learned from that. Not only here for the MWI qualifier, but hopefully from the last meet that they had, in the VMC Open. So I'd love to see what their adjustments are going to be there, because obviously, unfortunately, when we go and look at, for example, the information we have online, we don't have their picks back from that VMC Open. So unless we dig really deep to see where they were based on the streams and everything else. But unfortunately, we just see that it's a sweep. So I think going back to what these two teams like to play, you got to focus on the gold lane, man. I feel like you pointed it out really well. RLG just needs to make sure VP doesn't allow Liv to get activated, because that was such a big part of it. And you could see the Kimmy has been a favorite for honestly everybody around competitive MLBB right now, and is really played around well. So here's the answer from RLG. They're going to go for the Lucas in the first swing. We'll see what they pick up on the second one. We did have quite a few roaming options banned out, mid lanes. Of course, you got the jungle banned out. There's no Hayabusa or Joy there, which is what we saw Starsoy also really like to play. And so this leaves some interesting options here.
Exactly. I mean, if we delve deeper into the draft 2 days ago, they really like playing the Kimmy, because it really allows you to have so much flexibility. It could go mid, it could go gold lane as well, and this Lucas being picked up so early with the Phobias as well means that VIRTUS.PRO can go for a Valentina here possibly. But again, it's more of a I'd say a counter in the XP, but it still works. Like if you have a Lucas jungle as your opponent and you pick up the Valentina, it means you can fight early on with the stolen Unleash the Beast, and that is something that we saw as well a few times being picked up. For example, in game number 3, where actually Chonburi picked it up for themselves, the Valentina, but again they lost eventually to VP, but still it really enabled the Valentina to just move around the map proactively in the early minutes, because she has access to that Lucas ultimate. Once she hits level 4 with the IMU, it enables her to join the fight without having to really rely on her items like how Valentinas do. But then we see here the Gatot Kacha and the Jawhead. We did see the Jawhead Suyo being picked up. But yeah, again, that was like meta, I think, a few patches ago now, because of Suyo receiving the nerf. It isn't bad per se, but it's not as strong as how it used to be, right? But still, with the Jawhead, you have so much prio early game because of the heat-seeking missiles, and that just enables you to win up the objectives and go for the invades. And the Harith, as a response to this Jawhead pick, means that the Harith can play safer with the Chrono Dash and the shields that the Harith has. I think it's gonna be pretty fine in the lane if the Jawhead does come swinging in.
I think you still I don't know. I think if you're RLG, you still ban maybe the Suyo. I don't know if they want to let that through. It's funny because in the playoffs, in the first day, it was RLG that was playing this lineup. Like they had the Jawhead, Suyo, Gatakacha, and then the Kimmy. Like it was RLG that had this kind of lineup. So it seems like VP is just going to go with that. And then if I think honestly, if the Suyo is open, they might decide to go with it. They might not. But that seems to be the combination. So we'll see if that last ban from Coach Dran and RLG is going to be towards jungle still. Because you got to think about that, man. That's respect right there. If it's another jungle ban, that's 4 bans towards Starsoy, right? And that's something you wanna keep in mind, because if you're leaving other things open, again, VP, a team with experience in the prior MWI last year under a couple of the players under Zeno Lilies. You can see it in the way that they rotated, the way that they played those previous games they had, because they were quick games, man. I think their quickest game was 12 minutes, which is probably one of the quicker games that we've had here for the MWI Mekong Qualifier. 12 minutes is quite fast, you know, even with their current meta. So it kind of is. It's still jungle ban. They do take out the Alice. So we'll see what the last one. I think they're still going to focus on the roam, because that seems like what VP wants to do. You know, just focus on the roam options here.
I mean, the roam is indeed a very, very
Blanche was
influential
MVP usually.
well. Yeah, I mean, a few times the roam did change the course of the game, but for now they leave the Suyo open. So the Suyo pick is still a possibility to be combined with the Jawhead, but it's now RLG's pick. RLG's turn to pick. I mean, they have the jungler and the Lucas. Obviously, Volvius is going XP. So now they are left with a mid lane to pick, and they will pick up the Vexana. Okay, the Vexana.
It's been a minute, man.
Yeah, it's been quite some time since
Vexana?
we've seen the Vexana. I mean, do you want to pick it up for a self peel when the Jawhead comes to you? But again, with the unstoppable force, you can't really stun the Jawhead. You can't really lock him in place. With the with the deadly grasp or that stun, that terrify. But
Yeah.
I think the Vexana is gonna be good to set up the team fights again with that Eternal Guard, plus the Phobies that can jump backwards towards the backline. But again, I feel like they still need some sort of a frontliner that could really just tank for the team. I mean, the Lucas wants to come in, the Phobius does as well. So who peels for the Vexana and the Harith again? But I feel like the Vexana and the Harith are heroes that could peel for themselves. And I think that's a good pick, but they go with the Suyo Jawhead combo again and the 1-1
I
to
knew
play
it.
against the Harith.
I saw it come and realized. I was
You called
like,
it.
you know, it was open. So, and you know, we've seen them, like I said, we've seen them do that before. Even on the other side for RLG, they went with a similar lineup, so why not? But then this time, it's going to be interesting to see Liv play the 1-1 though, you know, because this is not a hero you typically see teams pick up, although it's more so, like I say, niche, like some of the, even in our MPL Philippines playoffs, like we had the 1-1 pop up a couple times. And so it'll be nice to see how Liv kind of moves around this, since she was back-to-back MVPs last time. So in the last pick over there, we got the Hylos. So there's enough tankiness. I feel like RLG has the right mindset, man. Like the fact that you have your Hylos, you have a Phobius, and then you get the Eternal Guard with the Vexana, like they should be covered front and back and sideways. You know? So hopefully that's enough to go ahead and protect your Harith, because that's really what you want to be able to do here for Pookie, is allow Pookie to get online, give her that space that she needs to move around these team fights, and hopefully not get picked off. Like that's the big thing. The Jawhead on the table, as our coaches get the handshakes here, is something you want to be careful of. Like you don't want to just get thrown into the enemy team and get blown up right away. But even if that happens, like they're tanky enough, they have enough peel that RLG Vietnam's lineup is actually not bad here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's enough to stop the Jawhead and the Gata to just run rampant. I mean, sure, the Vexana can be very susceptible to threats like that, but the Harith, I think, can just survive for himself. The Zaman Force with the Chrono Dash and the shielding as well. I mean, this Hylos is 100% going to run the Revitalize, so that's an additional sustainability that they have. But I think this Hylos pick does sum up the draft pretty well, because you want two members to just run into the enemy lines, and then the Hylos will be there to just back up the Vexana and the Harith. You can really fight from afar with the Vexana, right? You have the Eternal Guard again with the knock-up, so you have that CC inside. But when the Vexana is gonna be dived, for example, by a Suyo flanked from behind, the Vexana will be so prone to those burst damage. So this Vexana really needs to play very, very well, and has to be very calculated.
The battlefield. Smash
Well, We'll find out if they can do it once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finals here, the Mwi Mekong Qualifier. It's our last and final match after days of gameplay for these ladies. We're going to find out who moves forward to get that spot over at MWI, plus the $1,000 prize pool here. Will it be a VP, or will RLG Vietnam have something to say in this rematch back from VMC Open Queens? Can they turn it around, the fate here where they got swept in that grand final? We'll see if they have it. Again, I like their lineup. I really like what they brought to game one. In these best of sevens, you have plenty of time to adjust your game plan, you know? And one thing that we can point out from what we saw during the playoffs is really the decision making from VP was obviously very showcasing of how much experience they have. And RLG, on the other hand, had quick games too. And the flexibility that they brought to the draft is the main thing. So even when you look at this draft now, throw in the Vexana, like this is not something that you'll always typically see. Even the Hylos, to an extent, has kind of gone down in popularity, but it works so well in this lineup. So you even get a Revitalize with it to deal with Daisy's Revitalize. But there's a whole lot of crowd control that we have to see if RLG Vietnam can actually use. Oh, toss up.
Well, ejector, and Jen has to flicker away, and here it comes, the Unleash the Beast from Poon. However, that bomb will not be able to take down Sa and Cow. That was almost an assassination attempt towards Jen, but so far it's all going fine for VP. So they will try to reset, and Starsoy will just try to farm up a bunch before she can join in the fight. And I think so far, yeah, I second what you said. This pick, I think this draft from RLG is very situational. With the Vexana and the high-lows, obviously you want self-peel, you want that extra CC, and then you have Blanche with the high-lows to just play that frontline game. Tank the team until eternity, I would say, because VP, they have so much damage, and so far it is going very well for them. Blanche is so low, and Cow will get the first blood turtle as well, secured by Starsoy. That is two valuable things that they picked up.
Yeah, VP gets off of that, off the whims of the ejector, and that's anytime that drawhead's there, that's what you're going to expect. You know, you kind of play to that pacing in the early game, and obviously it's kind of a threat throughout the entire game, but they knew that Blanche really didn't have an option, especially since she burnt the Revitalize earlier on. So she's taking some shots right now from Sa to Sa, just bringing her down to a fourth of the health almost, but that's the one thing that works great for the Kimmy. And she can just go ahead and follow Cow around. And if they're able to get pickoffs, because later in the traction pulse is going to be something to consider too. As we have a look at it, Unbreakable.
The ejector now, and the Eternal Guard as well up, but Starsoy will be the one to pick up the kill. They're Vitalized as well, just being a second shield for them. And so far it is looking very good, because they even burnt Puma's Flicker. With the Sky Piercer as well, Sa will be much more of a threat, and now it's Blanche becoming the target once and for all. Starsoy again picking up 2 kills early on. This studio is unstoppable, and they might just look for a dive, but it is a hair that you want to dive, so it is going to be very tanky. But the Zaman Force pop with the Purify as well, and Pookie will be safe for now.
Oh, they got the Purify though. She's gonna have to back off. She has no choice but to retreat here. So all that gets the Purify. They get some extra gold over in the hands here for Liv, but they can also just visit this lane again if they really wanted to, knowing that the Purify is not there. Liv, even she's at half health. She's got to be careful not to get picked off here, because it looks like Blanche wants to make a move. Okay, Liv's going to be forced back. Turtle's going to be up in 10, though. Good push from Poon up top. So Pun's going to be fine. She gets some extra gold. But look at the rotate here. Cow is ready. Even though she doesn't have a flicker, Cow is still aggressive. Like, she's still going for those ejector plays if she has to. If she even has to use the unstoppable here. So Turtle's up. Second one of the game. VP has a nice little lead. They'll go ahead and gain control of this. We'll see if ROG wants to contest.
Going in towards the back, the ejector and the AOG on top. And that is sweet, sweet sugar for VP. They are up 5-0 with the turtle to boot, and they will grasp this with 5 fingers, both hands. Starsoy gets it for himself, or herself, excuse me, and the Starlium side for Pookie might just warrant her a chance to fight, but so far, it's VP unstoppable with the early pressure that they're able to exert, And not even Tuma is able to contest this turret. She's gonna concede and give this one up, and that is VP with the turret, 5 kills, and 2 turtles in 5 minutes.
This is where you start to see that snowball already happen. Before that turtle broke out, you know, it was just about 1,000 gold separating them, but now VP gets a nice 2.2 ahead, but they have space to work with also. And it just seems like RLG doesn't have much of an option other than hoping they don't get picked off by Cow here. Once again, this is what everybody's fighting for. MSC 2025, MWI 2025 at EWC. Fight in the bottom.
Vector AOG combo again and again. It's Daisy with the taunt connecting towards Blanche, but as of now, it's gonna be RLG with the response on Jen. Sa will be eliminated, and that is an important kill towards the Kimmy. The Vixana is able to pick up a kill for herself as well. And now, will this be RLG's light at the end of the tunnel? It's still too far to say that, but look at Pookie picking up that kill with the Purify as well. She's still dancing around, dazing. Cow might just fall, but no. Still too tanky for the Jawhead to die. And that is a kill towards Pookie and Jen, the 2 most important members of this RLG lineup.
That's really good pickups for RLG. I didn't think that VP would actually go down there, but the fact that Saw died and then they got another kill is giving enough time to like catch up here for RLG. They narrowed down the gold lead that was starting to build, and that's what I was saying. The snowball was starting to form. Well, you just stopped it. So hopefully RLG continues to kind of adjust from here. If they can get this last turtle of the game, that's going to be great for them. If they just don't give it up here to VP, they might even contest. It looks like they're in position for it. They're going to go.
There's Pathway with their Vitalize as well, but Starsoy still! You thief in the night, and that is going to be 1 stolen turtle. Rather Sa now with the kill as well in the back. Starsoy still dancing around, pouncing towards Pookie. Pookie's going to be safe, and 2 pickups for VIRTUS.PRO again. Perfect neutral objectives. The Lord is next on the menu as Blanche is dripping with blood, but she's going to be fine. And VP, this is a very strong composition. I mean, you would expect that they will try to fall in the early game because Liv as the 1-1 needs a few items to be online. But I feel like the Kimmy alongside the Jawhead trio combo is too strong and is like, I would say, the equalizer in the early game. They tip the scales off pretty easily. When you have a very, very weak laner, you pair it up with a good trio mid, a strong trio mid early game, and is able to deliver them results like this. And so far it's VP looking at a possible game 1 win, even though it's still 8 minutes. But it looks very bleak for RLG.
Yeah, they just ballooned that lead a little bit further now, 5,000, but they have that turret advantage too that they're working around here, and they want to take this bottom turret down. They might force a fight again.
Action pulse AOG again! Way too many crowd controls to deal with, and that is a solo pickup towards the front line. Blanche up top though, it's gonna be Poon splitting up and pushing the way forward. But what can she get from all of this atrocity that VP has been creating? At least she's able to push the waves and create that segue play, but Liv will be there to respond. And now, RLG, what are their win conditions? It looks very hard for them.
At this point, win conditions for RLG is to stop getting picked off, and I know that's way easier said than done when you have a Jawhead staring you down. They gotta give time for Pookie, really, because like looking at the difference in terms of gold and everything else, Pookie has farmed up well. She's not too far behind the gold lane, but when you're at a numbers disadvantage right away, you kind of don't even want to fight. I mean, look, Blanche is supposed to be the tank here.
Oh,
wow.
What? That's Sky Piercer impales Blanche, and the frontliner is no longer frontlining. That is 1 squishy horse. They're feasting horse meat for dinner, and now VP, the Lord as well, secured easily. And RLG 0-6 on Blanche, 0-2 on Tuma. The frontliners are no longer able to withstand the insane damage coming in from VP. Torrential stream of damage. They're gonna push up the waves as well. The lane secured by them. They have full control of the jungles, up top, down bottom, even topside turret. The last of it broken down, and it's Tuma having to defend this by herself. Traction Pulse to dissuade her. And it feels like VP, they want to go on the ambush here, but the Lord will march down bottom, so they will try to wait for that Lord to crash in.
Yeah, they're just going to get these shields for now. Both shields on top and the mid are popped. Lord making its way bottom. Big item pickups for literally everybody here for VP. BOD for Stars, so you got a Divine Glaive over there. A little more tankiness for Cow and Daisy as they prep up, and Haas Claws for Liv. So here comes the push in. The shield is going to pop. So it's going to deal a lot of that damage to the Lord. It's going to be fine, clears out, but now the mid lane going to be focused.
That's all. Starso is able to run away with the Blade Surge. The Mon Force popped up as well by Pookie just to ensure that. Oh, waves Cow with the 2 pull as well with the traction pulse. Let's do the kill as well, and they will run down RLG in their own base. Not in my house.
Oh, Pookie.
That's Pookie even biting the dust, and that's 3 kills for Sa. 8, 1, and 4 so far for the Kimmy. This Crystal wide open for them to just destroy and finish off RLG. That's gonna be game 1 going to VIRTUS.PRO.
And a very clean game 1 as expected for VIRTUS.PRO. VP showcasing again a lineup executed to the best possible way. And even when it seemed like RLG had some fight in them, they didn't really have an answer towards that mid to late game. Again, it's just a showcase of the experience that this team has, the synergy that they bring to the table as well. And there's going to have to be a lot of adjustments from RLG going into the next game, especially if they want to make this, you know, not basically a repeat of what happened to them in the VMC Queens Open. We're going to take a look here. Our MVP is going to be Sa. You saw how excited she was. She was giving all the attention to the camera there on this Kimmy once again. 8, 1, and 4. And, you know, that's the thing, man. You set up a mid lane or the gold lane like this, and you're going to have one fantastic game. Like, it's going to be really easy for you. It's really going to be able to set you up. And that's why when you ask, what were the win conditions for RLG? Well, really, it was to let Pookie shine, man. Like, she farmed up. She was doing really well, gold laner to gold laner. But you see what I mean by every single time, they didn't even really get a fair team fight. Like, if you look back on this game, this was an 11-11 game. This was, I think this has to be one of the fastest games that we've had so far. But that's the thing, realize, like, they didn't have any opportunity to really team fight and use Pookie, because a lot of the times the fights, like, it was someone dying before that fight even broke out. It was either Blanche dying or, you know, unfortunately for Tiamat, she was also trying to tank things up. And really, if you're down a member that early on, Pookie's not going to have any space to work with, you know? So we're going to take a look at the highlights here. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of this is, yeah, it's unfortunate. Blanche will get caught out. She's not really able to escape any of this aggressive crowd control that comes from VP's lineup, because all she has is a Revitalize. It's not like she can, you know, flicker out, or, you know, she might have the pathway, the ultimate, but that's it. But Cow has been on point with this Jawhead throughout the game, able to get the right targets, whether she had a flicker or not, just tossing people up into the arms of VP. And so really, when you look at it, like, throughout this entire game, it's like, when did they have a good, like, fair team fight? You know what I mean? Maybe this one, maybe the turtle even, but then it just showed that they couldn't really fight these team fights because they got split off so much.
It was just hard for RLG to do anything, to be honest, because the fact of the matter is that they're just everywhere. I mean, VP, they were able to overwhelm VIRTUS.PRO, rather RLG, yeah, not even giving them the chance to meet their win conditions. And you were right, by the way, Nice. So this is our fastest series in this qualifier, in this tournament, 11-11, the fastest game. And
make a wish.
I think, okay, I wish this to go to all 7 maps, 7 games. I don't know.
It is. I think we are going to be taking a quick break before we head to game 2. Yeah. So sit tight. We'll be back after the break.
渦巻きナルトが帰ってきたぞ。クラマ、力を貸してくれ。よっしゃ、第7班ここに復活だってばよ。
ここは俺に任せて。もらった。4代目他目を超える忍びはお前しかいないと俺はそう信じた。
And welcome back here over on the English stream for the MWI Mekong Qualifier. We are now in the grand finals, and we already have one game down. in this best of 7. Once again, I'm Naisu and this is Realize, and we are bringing you the action for today. Now, if you missed game 1, it's because it was so quick. It was so fast. It was one of our fastest games here, Realize.
I bet that some of you guys are preparing your snacks and came back to your PC or your phones and finding out that VP is able to just close the game out quickly. Because, yeah, it was a quick game. It broke the record of being the quickest game in the Mwi Mekong Qualifiers 2025. This year, basically, VP were able to sweep away RLG with that 1-0 scoreline and their pickups, right? Their draft early on. It is centered to really just balance out the early game. We talked about the Vexana, the Harriet, able to peel for themselves, the Hylos as well. And then you have the Lucas and the Fovies just jump into the backline. However, when VP is just pushing so much pressure into you, you can't really do anything. Plus, the fact of the matter is that Vexana and Harriet, they need items to go online. But for VP, it's the Jawhead, it's the Suyo that is able to fight with only one item, for example. Like, I mean, the Jawhead, it has an easy pick-off tool, I'd say, with the ejector, and then you have the missiles going in as well. The Suyo, basically, with the Soul Sever, is indeed very, very scary. And then Kimmy, well, the Kimmy was fed, way too fed. I mean, the Sky Piercer was purchased in like minute 6 or minute 7, and she was able to rack up a few stacks here and there. So yeah, it was a total combination of just destruction and being so unstoppable that RLG didn't even have a chance to enter a proper team fight, I'd say, right? Because most of it were just pickoffs, skirmishes, and VP just made sure that RLG didn't even have the chance to reach their power spikes.
Yeah, it's tough because you know that when we were talking about the combination again of the Suyo and the Jawhead, that was going to be the game plan that they played around, and that's exactly what happened from the start. So when I think about Game 2's draft, I almost want to just see RLG. I don't know. They were the ones that I was saying in the draft that played that combination. Like, they're the ones that also in their sweep against ESB a few days ago, that they went with the Jawhead Gatakacha Suyo combination. So maybe they should just grab it, you know, or I don't think it's worth banning, but like maybe they should just grab it, because then at least they can get pick-off potential early game going. Because they didn't really have that as an option, I feel like. They were mostly just kind of relying on whatever pace was being set, you know, by VP. And so we'll see if that changes the draft here, now that we're jumping into Game 2's draft. But like I said, when you face a loss like that, you have to look at, how did we lose so fast? And that's usually related to the early game is just, it snowballs out of your control. You weren't able to even get to a point where your gold laner comes to shine. And like you mentioned, Realize, you need plenty of time for the Vexana to really do anything. Like, all she can really do is you know, she can poke a little bit early on, but she's also just there to drop down the Eternal Guard, like the ultimate, you know? So, but even when that happened, again, the team fights would break out around the objectives, but they just didn't have enough firepower. So maybe even the mid lane option is going to be a little more crucial here for RLG's Jen, depending what she brings to the table. So, like I said, early game has to be the focus for RLG. The fact that they're on blue side and we'll get a first pick will tell us a lot of the game plan of what they're going for. So they might even go with some of these bans to leave something open for their jungle if they want to, for Pun if she wants to have a better time in the jungle, or even to an extent for Blanche here.
And they can start banning out power picks from VP, right? I mean, the Hayabusa, obviously, it is a strong pick for the jungler. The Joy as well. It is more of the Joy being so hard to stop. I mean, if like your enemy picks up a Joy, then you're maybe most likely inclined to pick up a Fredrin, for example, to stop it, because the Suyo can't really fare against his Joy anymore. I mean, in certain cases, it is still playable, but the Joy does have the upper hand early on with the magic damage it is able to exert, plus the nerf coming into the Suyo. Now the Baxia banned out might be a possible denied pick to the Kimmy, but VP, if they're afraid, yeah, they will ban out the Kimmy. I thought about it, and yeah, I don't think it is worth to just give away the Kimmy to your enemies, to your opponents, because the Kimmy just has such a complete tool now. Like the Kimmy can just be so unstoppable from minute one. And so far it is indeed very strong pick, a very strong pick for VP as well. Now it's RLG. What do they want to pick up here?
RLG, knowing that there's a Kalei across from them, they're already gonna have to run the Purifies. That's what we see most teams doing. So VP, they could actually go ahead and just take the Harith if they wanted to for Live. They could lock in Harith, they could lock in their XP lane if they want to early on, or even go with the jungle. So there's the Harith like I was expecting. That's going to be open, so might as well grab that. And then let's see if they go. Okay, they get the Gatakacha. Again, a pick that has worked out really well for all the teams right now. Seems to be one of the favorites, either in the roam or mostly in the roam. We saw also XP lane Gatakacha being played a couple times from Tiama. So. All right, let's see here. The response, there's going to go Lucas. I'm not sure if they pick up their gold laner right now, too, knowing that the Harith is there. Makes me interesting to see what Pookie wants to play up against that matchup, since it's so often that we see the Granger versus Harith matchup. This might leave them to a couple options, or even some more to be banned out from Coach Destined 1, VP. So I think that's what they have to consider here.
Yeah, the Lucas pickup with Kalea, good 2 picks. And the Farsa. Okay, so actually pretty decent, because now you have a front line, and then now you have poke from afar with the Farsa. You can kind of combo it up as well with the Kalea with the Tsunami Slam, and then you pop your airstrike from like a few distances, and that's able to just pick off an enemy. But now VP, I think they need some sort of a dive to reach the far side. I mean, the Gatotkacha is there. Phovius could be a good shout here if they want to pick that up and just look for a way into the Farsa, because the Farsa will be such a menace, I think, mid to late game. With the Wings by Wings as well, it's hard to catch the Farsa, so you got to have someone who can really knock the Farsa down. But they will go for the CC instead, so they are still suspecting that this is a Lucas XP. Because obviously with the CC, you really want to win out the trades in the XP lane. And the CC against Phovius, against Lucas, it is very strong with the damage as well given. So yeah, I think there is a possibility that RLG might just still put this Lucas to the XP. But I think it's much better if it would go to the jungler, but to the jungle area. But again, the CC is just a good deny pick to a possible Phovius if RLG wants to pick that one up again. The Earthal banned out. And for RLG, what did they ban out here? This Earthal being banned out, are they trying to sniff out? No, it's not, because they have the Harith already. Yeah, I thought they were gonna pick up the Granger for themselves, but nah, they have the Harith. Yeah, so I think RLG themselves can go for the Granger, because now they have. Oh no, never mind. Granger banned as well.
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? My bad.
They just narrowed it all down, man. Like that was the plan, you know, like. It was more so, what is RLG going to put in the hands of Pookie? Because she's going to be forced to play something else. Like, a lot of teams would go for the Earthel. But, like, I would say the top 3 gold lane options right now are pretty much all taken. So, this might be one of the tests. Because even in the playoffs, like, we saw Pookie play, that was it, Granger Harith. You know, so... And then the only other, I think, gold laner that we saw pop up, we did see a random wild Hanabi pop up, if you remember that.
Yeah, I did.
But it's mostly, it's like all 3 picks for MWI Mekong Qualifiers has been either Granger, Harith, Irithel. And then they even take out the carry. So, like, a carry is banned out. So do they want, like, the Hanabi to come out, or are we going to see, you know, something different? Like, do they want to go against the 1-1? So I don't know what RLG's Pookie's going to take here.
I mean, there's still a Moskov, to be fair. And then you have that, you know, global presence early on. The Spirit Destruction, you can join fights early, but I think the Moskov will just cry in front of a CC and a Gatotkacha.
Yeah.
So it's not a really good pick against these 2 heroes. But I think the CC could still be a menace to the Moskov as well. Now, VP. Yet to pick up a mid laner. What goes well against the Farsa? A Yeve to have extra reach and extra poke. The Eve might be okay, I guess. And they will go for the Hanzo. So Gatot Kacha, Rome, CCXP, and Hanzo in the jungle. So that's actually one way that they can reach out to the Farsa, is via the Hanzo. You have that dive potential with the Pinnacle Ninja, and you have backline access with the Hanzo to just reach out the Farsa, and this Farsa has to be on its toes.
Yeah, Hanzo's fine. We saw this once during the first day of the playoffs. It seemed to work out okay. But I think if I remember, that was in the hands of RLG. So that's going to be an adjustment. We'll see what these next two picks are going to be because, like I said, gold lane is pretty narrowed down. They could still... Oof. What was the last gold laner we see? Well, there's a Hilda. I don't know. Do they risk it and go the Moskov? Like, is that... Oh, they go Beatrix. Okay. Beatrix... That seems fine. Not picked up too often, at least here for the Mekong region. The only thing I still worry about with the Beatrix, though, is like you really have to rely on that help here. Oh, that's tough too. Because I was saying, like, with a Beatrix, you know, like super important, obviously the positioning, and it's a little worrying because you've got a Hanzo that can just put pressure on you. One, and now that you have Selena on the table too for Sa. Selena has been doing some crazy work for the teams that have drafted Selena. A very niche pick, I would still say, for a lot of teams in the mid lane, but it still does the job. You know, provides vision. You got the traps, you got the arrows. Like if you're on point with the arrows too, think about the setup potential with the Selena, and then you kind of help the Hanzo. Like, yeah, the Hanzo can scout himself. That's one of the benefits of having Hanzo on the team. You know, without risking dying initially, but then you throw in a Selena there to help scout out. That's an added benefit. So we'll take one last look at the lineups here for both sides. Once again, RNG looking to even out the series in this grand final best of 7. They want this 1-1 right now. VP though with their lineup, I gotta say, man, this is looking pretty scary. This looks like they do have an advantage here. A lot of this will have to do on, I feel like, Blanche again. Like, can she get those setups? Because we can't see it just yet, but there's got to be at least one, or if not two, purifies over there, maybe one. But they do have good early damage. I will say that if RLGs can get a ball rolling early on, they should be able to go ahead and get some momentum, because Farsa's early damage is great. Lucas as well in the jungle, like his damage is good, and Hilda can scout things out. So let's see if they can make that work.
Hey, Lyso, if I'm playing the Beatrix in this game, I'd be throwing a tantrum. Honestly, I'd be crying.
Yeah.
Do I go Purify? Do I go Flicker? I mean, Beatrix has to go Flicker because you have to be on point with your positioning, and there's not much mobility you have aside from the tactical reposition. But when you look at the enemy, they have a Selena that can just stun you with the Abyssal Arrow, but then you have a Hanzo that can just run at you, and then a Harriet, and then the AOG on top. So it's tricky. It's gonna be hell for this Beatrix.
We'll find out if they're able to make it work or not. If Pookie on the Beatrix will have the space that she needs that she didn't have in the previous game. We're jumping into the Land of Dawn. It's game number 2 in our grand final best of 7 here. We'll see if RLG can even out the series with this lineup. Once again, we've shared our thoughts. You guys can let us know too who you think has the better chances here, at least for the early game. But yeah, I would say a lot of people, if you've been watching the competitive scene at least for the past few months, you've seen a lot of Selena, a little poking happening here, but Tima's going to be fine. And this is the thing too, like battling a CC in the lane is just not fun. You know, like that's not something you really want to deal with. And also just going to point out real quick too, you've got those 2 purifies like I was mentioning from VP to deal with Blanche on that Kalea. So part of Blanche's job is literally, oh, hold on.
Cow. Uh-oh, Cow. So low. Oof. That's the Unbreakable to just run away. And, she will recall to safety. And yeah, I think connecting your point again, this Hilda, I think, won't really lane against the CC. It's just going to hit level 4, and then it will start roaming to match the rotation from the Selena. Because the Farsa can do that with the Wings by Wings. The Selena can as well. But then they can create possibly a 3v3 to a possible 4v3 when the Hilda is there. Because in lane, the CC is going to bully the Hilda to eternity. So, yeah, I think the Hilda will just look to join the fight and be a pest against like fights and skirmishes like this. Starsoy Solo still has their position to just run away. Daisy will jump around as well, but she's too deep. Poon will not go for the kill. However, in mid, we have Blanche possibly dying, stunned up, and still able to flicker to safety. That is one auto attack away from dying, and Starsoy will try to go for the dive, but no, she will go back. Turtle is next on the menu for both teams. They're all closing by here. Daisy joining the fray as well. Jen is here. Tuma going in to Cow, but it's on the backline though. Jen has to pop the wings by wings, and Daisy going so low. Tuma stuck in the middle of no man's land, and she will be able to reposition. This turtle might just go in the hands of VP, but as of now, no one to testing.
Let's get testing.
Lunch. Gonna be okay. She's level 3, no Tsunami Slam just yet, but the backup is there from Boon. And Tuma again just running down bottom to save her teammates, and so far Starsoy still able to be alive, and Daisy will get Boon AOG to the back as well. Jen has to run. Is Daisy surviving with this sliver of HP? Down bottom it's Liv with the solo kill, and the Beatrix punish. It is not going to be fun for her.
Man, there was so many moments where multiple people should have died. Even that feathered airstrike could have almost caught 2. It did not. So RLG will go ahead and start the turtle, while VP went for a reset. And yes, it was a 1v1 in the bottom in the gold lane that Liv ends up winning. So that's an advantage. Now the fight for the turtle.
Yuma gets Daisy, and that's a good kill. With a lot of focus though. Starsoy comes in with the Pinnacle Ninja. Yuma has to flicker away. It's Boon surviving and grabbing the turtle for RLG. At the end of the day, that's still something that you bring home for. While Blanche still on mid, won't be able to follow up any further. So that's it for RLG. 1 kill and a turtle.
Yeah, a bit of a trade there. So at least objective go to the hands of RLG. They can go ahead and work that. And it was good, the way that they played that turtle, the way that they were able to go ahead and zone out some of the members of VP. And again, the Starsoy, she needs a little bit of time to build up here on this Hanzo. Even when she goes and tries to focus down on Pun, like she's not able to get the kill there because just doesn't have enough damage. So you can see Pookie picks up a Malefic Gun, I think was her rushed item for now. So trying to get a little bit of that range to deal with this Harith on Liv, and that might help her out. Like I said, she's going to have to cover some grounds because she lost that 1v1. No, initiation.
Tsunami Slam onto her Sa, and Sa evaporates AOG into the middle of the fight. Blanche will be eaten up as well. Revitalize will help them survive. Meanwhile, it's Boon. The Shockwave Blast not able to get anything. 1-for-1 trade. I think it'll be favorable for RLG. They're able to pick up the mid laner from VP. Only losing Blanche in that process. So RLG at least able to tip the scales in this early game. So far VP, all they want is to just farm up a bunch and get their items going. That is where they will hit the power spike. I mean, the Hanzo might need a few items to be a problem later on for RLG. And so far, Pookie is just punished heavily down bottom.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is VP's whole lead. They're losing some bodies here because that's what Blanche has to do. Like, Blanche has to do that continuously, try to get the pick off. If she can find Sa, better yet, because Sa only has that flicker. But again, Starsoy will go ahead and continue to scale up on this Hanzo. They might force a fight here.
The dive, it's Blanche again. They're targeting Tsunami Slam. Is able to lock down a member. It's Daisy still having to meet the afterlife. Meanwhile, Turtle of the focus now for RLG. They're able to get away from that turtle with the turtle as well. Scot-free. Pick up and an objective to boot again. So RLG at least showing signs of life, showing signs of retaliation. Then the second game starts. Might look for something, but she's gonna be fine and safe. So now it's all about how RLG can translate this fight in the early game on towards the mid game, because now VP with the lane swap, they're able to get that top side turret, and Pookie just needs to farm to her items. But I think it's very hard for her to do just that because VP is on the pound. So airstrike, not gonna be able to pick up Sa. So at least now in terms of the scoreboard.
Jen's been doing a great job. This is what I was saying about the Farsa earlier on, that you're providing a lot of early game damage, and that's what's showcased here. Oh, Blanche.
Slam again. It's with the flicker, but you can't flicker damage. Comes a force pop as Purify is able to be popped by Liv, and now Starsoy comes with the Pinnacle Ninja to the back, and they will try to run away. Jen so low, still able to survive. Starsoy does the same. That's 2 low members from RLG. But VP, they can't satisfy their thirst just yet.
A little bit more time for Starsoy to come online. We're going to take a look at the replay here. Like I said, Blanche has to do this all game, find picks, find targets. She's found Saw multiple times now, which is great. And if they continue to play around each other here, RLG is going to be in a good position to win this game. They just have to go ahead and continue to farm up. But all this has bought Pookie a good amount of time to go ahead and get the item she needs. She goes and gets a Sea Halberd now to go ahead and deal with some of that sustainability that comes from VP's lineup with the Gatakacha, the Revitalize, plus even the CC here. So we'll see if they try to make a play. She is going to flicker.
Well, force pop as well. Then it's Rage to clear the wave away with the Nibiru as well. Throwing everything on towards the VP members, but look at Daisy, she's so low. There might be an assassination. Oh, 1 HP with the tail
So
beast
close.
bomb. Daisy still able to survive, and she has to recall away. And it's been a very messy
So
early
close
game,
there.
to be honest, from both teams. So close for Daisy. The concealed play from Cal might look for something, but I don't think they will want to re-aggress any further, because so far VP in the skirmishes, they're losing every bit of it, and this just gives space for Pookie to then restabilize all the losses that she was experiencing in the early game against Liv. As of now, though, RLG will try to play this slow and steady.
It's just funny because really gets a Purify out from Liv. That's good, but realistically, it's pretty much an even game. Like, the only advantage here is VP has 1 turret down, which was pushed up top earlier on. Daisy could be in trouble. She's going to go ahead and jump on out of there.
Oh, Tuma so low, and it's getting the kill towards Tuma. Command Force as well expended, and VP, 1 kill. But is it valuable, though, against Tuma? That's the grab anything you can at this point. And a dive might happen.
Pressure.
Daisy coming from the back. Pookie has to be wary of this, but she will get the rockets out. Clear the wave. Poon as well here to back up players of RLG. VP, they know they can't force the issue here. But Blanche with concealed might look for something, but that trap spots her out.
Yeah, Blanche wants to go for Saw again. She has a flicker available, plus a Tsunami Slam, but Saw's had it happen to her twice now. So she's going to be a little more cautious of her positioning, because she is the target here. Lord's coming up, though, in a couple seconds. This is going to be tough. Conceal's going to be used. I think they want to make a play for Pookie here, or at least the bottom turret. I don't know if VP ends up being able to contest if they can, even for the Lord here. It's going to be started up by RLG. This is a good chance for RLG to take this.
Yeah, I'm dwindling now for VP because RLG are blitzing this Lord. Daisy is close by. Starsoy as well pops the Pinnacle Ninja. Might look for a steal AOG to the back. Oh! Starsoy! Daylight robbery as he gets the Lord, but that's going to be RLG fighting back with the kill. 2 kills though for VP, and they will run to safety. They will seek refuge in the back of a stolen Lord, and that is Starsoy with the Ninja Dip.
Oh, that's so tough. Not just to lose a Lord, but then 2 bodies.
Oh, Pookie is gonna be safe, but not for Tuma! Liv will get that kill going. Jen, though, with this airstrike. Double kill in RLG. The saving grace is the VIRESA.
All right, Jen. Locked in. She gets 2 kills. She's sitting at 6-0-1. That's going to be crucial. They'll clear off this Lord. So with that, should be able to handle this. Let's take a look at the items real quick. As you can see, Jen, the most damage being done right now is from her. She's got that. She's got the lightning trunch too, so that obviously helps there. And the glowing one. Little action here on the bottom side. Starsoy will get a kill. Woo! And the turret.
Okay. Now this Hanzo is scary. Early game, yeah, it's still a tickly ninja. Now, this is a scary ninja, a soulless ninja, I'd say. The Croatian side with the golden staff and the DHS as well. So she has that attack speed going on. Croatian side will help her as well with the on-hit effects, and I think as of now RLG needs to pause. They need to be responsive. They don't really need to pull the trigger first because they can counter-engage when they have so much tools to work with. But AOG, flicker away from Blanche, and it's Cal going in too deep and will conceal away to revitalize to save herself. VP, this is where they will hit their power spike.
Alright, yeah, this is where we have to start considering the different power spikes of these teams. Like we said, for VP, they are pretty much there. And as they get a little more tanky, they can go ahead and deal with this. But also the big problem is Starsoy, because that's one of the powers of Hanzo. Like you could, and Starsoy's had a pretty good game. She just picks up a Malefic Roar, so now she's going to start doing some of the more of that damage to these tankier members of RLG. And whenever you have a Hanzo, even if your team is losing badly, you can still be a threat like this.
Oh no.
Gets the flicker.
That Jen flickering away, yeah. Jen flickered away, so that is a battle spell burn. That's information for VP. They want to go for a mini skirmish later on, if they want to go for a collapse onto RLG. As of now, RLG, at least they have the far lanes pushing in their favor. The bottom side turret so low. Saved though by Starsoy. Look at Poon and Tiuma. What are they gonna do in this bush? They might just look for Starsoy, but they fear that Starsoy might be the one eating them from the inside, so they choose to just run away. And this Lord ready up for grabs for both teams. It's VP starting it off though, kicking it off. And it's going to be RLG having to respond to this Lord take by VP. They can burst it down though, but they choose not to. They play the long game. And Starsoy looking for a flank angle onto the back. Boon so low, and she has to run back. They know Hanzo is low, and this might be their chance to run into the Lord pit. So far, it's VP still with enough damage to tear down RLG. They will take their time on the Lord. They'll pause it for a brief moment and might look for something else later on.
Yeah, Starsoy took so much damage there. She decided to initiate that fight. Jen's going to pick up a winner crown. This could be crucial for this team fight, as that feathered airstrike will set things up. Blanche.
Konami Slam, purified away, AOG, up to 2, and Jen pops feather airstrike, but Daisy gets spooky, and that's their damage dealer gone, and Liv dies on towards Jen. Jen is no more. It's gonna be Poon stuck in the rock and a hard place. Cow as well in the back, being helped up by Starsoy. That's 4 members gone, and they might even go for the end if they want to, but I think they do have a chance to do it up top. No holy defense, this might be the end.
Oh, they're going to push top. Blanche is going to be in trouble. She's going to get taken out, and they're just going to make it for the base here to end the game in a 2-0 already for VP.
How the tables have turned. A flip of the script, and that is it for RLG. VP, they're up 2-0 now in the series, and that was at least RLG showing grit, showing fight, showing they're able to retaliate and they're not to be dominated. But again, VP with the maturity to just play the long game, force RLG to create unforced errors, and like that, it happened in the blink of an eye, and it's just over for them. A stolen Lord by Starsoy. That last Lord fight, by the way, was well played by VP. RLG was quick on the response, but again, they were just struck by the damage given by VP, and the Matrix wasn't the answer. It seems like the Matrix didn't even have a chance to play the game. It was most of the Matrix losing in the lane. The team fights, it was also non-existent. So yeah, full punish from VP. RLG.
Punish for VP here. You can already see it again. Starsoy getting a well-deserved MVP. You saw her teammates there celebrating with her. They knew that she was a big part of this win too. Like we were saying, you know, Hanzo takes a little bit of time to start cooking, but once you get the items that you need, you're a threat in yourself, especially when she locked in Malefic Roar. That was a big turning point for her because she was then able to go ahead and be enough of a threat to the squishier targets, but also the tanks. Like if she got a couple hits in, because of the fact that you have the DHS, the Malefic Roar, that Golden Staff, the Corrosive Scythe, you're slowing people down on top of it. So, and that last team fight too, that Avatar of the Guardian was just so good. That came in to go ahead and set things up from Cal. So overall, VP, they got tested though. I will say this, in this game, they got tested by RLG. There was some good adjustments here from RLG, but it was just unfortunate that when it came down to, the important objectives, those lords, I'm not saying the turtles aren't important either. They got all three of them as we take a look at the highlights here, and Jen was online. Like that was the other thing. Like this Farso was a huge threat. So you saw the switch up where once VP was like, okay, we know the plan here. Like Jen is just popping off. We have to deal with her. We have to find her. And that's what they did. And like I said, Star Soy was part of that because she was able to go ahead and put enough pressure. So again, it was a good adjustment. It came down to these decisive fights right here. That was started up by Blanche, and this is just set up with a good Avatar of the Guardian. They get the taunt off, and overall, the team fighting experience is really what stands out here. Again, it's that experience of, hey, we're able to go ahead and adjust because, again, technically RLG was winning a good portion of that mid game leading into that first Lord even. But it was that discipline that we got to see from VP where they really adjusted and decided to say, okay, like we're going to be fine, So again, that's game 2. Now 2-0 in this best of 7. We're going to take another break here before we get to game 3. So go ahead and sit tight or grab your snacks and we'll be back after the break.
They said there's a limit in the Women's League. In MWI, we say limit? Watch us bounce from the MWI queens everyone knows, to the stars who came out from nowhere, to the ultimate champions. Now, MWI is expanding greater than ever. Turkey, EECA, Africa, Mongolia, and beyond. We're stretching the map wider. MWI, where dreams get louder. This isn't just a tournament. It's your passport to the world stage. A spotlight for women in the EWC. No rules, no ceilings, no limits. Just this. We're vibrant. We're ready. We're limitless.
Minna! 渦巻きナルトが帰ってきたぞ! Kurama! 力を貸してくれ! Yoっしゃ! 第7班ここに復活だってばよ!
Welcome back to the Mwi Mekong Qualifiers 2025. Still with me, Realize, and of course, my amazing partner, Niso. We will be accompanying you guys to a possible 7-game. And so far, it's 2-0 for VIRTUS.PRO. RLG still scratching for yet a single win, because this has been a one-sided series, I'd say, even though Game 2, RLG was able to show fight. VP, again, with the experience, with the maturity, we talked about it, they're able to turn the tides around. And for VP, they're 2 wins away from a possible MWI wildcard slot.
They'll get a chance to head on back, well, for some of the players anyway that were there last year, like I mentioned. But yeah, you said it, man. It's I don't know, it feels like Game 2 was almost there for RLG. I feel like they had the right adjustments, they had the right idea, the team composition was good, but it just came down to like those, and this is usually the case, like teams, when it comes down to like those, the Lord takes, you know, they have to be really calculated in some of the way that they play it, depending on their composition especially. And that was one of the big problems that just kind of RLG wasn't able to face. And like I said, sometimes it's just that way. Like Blanche goes in and she does what she does, you know, try to get setups for RLG, but there's usually always a counter punch from VP in the drafts that we've seen from them, and that seems to be working really well for them. So looks like we're jumping right into Game 3's draft. VP will be on that blue side. And honestly, Realize, I think they're still going to just narrow down the gold lane. That seems to be one of the game plans here for VP as they take out the Granger.
Are they trying to impose the fact that RLG can't really win without Pookie in a comfortable pick? I don't know, because yeah, so far it's been Pookie that really shines out in the last 2 days in that semifinals. But in the previous game, I'd make a case for Jen being so proactive and basically keeping the team together with a Farsa performance. But again, they're trying to narrow down that gold potential like in the previous draft. However, as of now, it's only the Granger being banned out. As for the last 3, it's Juicin taken out, Hayabusa and the Joy plus the Baxia as well. I would expect that RLG would try to take out the Kimmy here, because if they give the Kimmy to VP again, it'll be very hard to deal with. It has flexibility, it has poke, it can just become a late game hyper carry that is so dangerous to contain, and they don't want to gamble that because they're 2 games away from losing that ticket to MWI. So yeah, it's all about safety, I think, for RLG. Better safe than sorry, because as of now, I don't really see like a hero that can really shut down the Kimmy. If they really think about it, they might pick up a Lolita to try to deflect the Kimmy projectiles. But again, that's, I think, still experimental. But oh, they leave the Kimmy open. They ban out the Matilda, and they will try to give the Kimmy to VP. VP can just go for the Kimmy here if they want to, because it has been a staple pick for them, and they will go for the Kimmy. Okay, I'm intrigued to see what RLG has in their pockets to let this Kimmy go just like that.
Take the Harith. I think that's one for Pookie at least. Take the Harith, and then maybe the Phoveus is maybe what they go for. Unless they have a different game plan this time. Kalea Suyo. So they're going to go ahead and just grab this. Like, do they want the Jawhead this time? Is that what RLG's doing? Are they going for the Jawhead Suyo combo?
I think the Kalea is a very good pick. It's very pile, obviously. Yeah, this is on out, right? If he goes for something very aggressive early on, the Suyo could be shut down, or even they might just go for a possible Fredrin here if they would like to. But yeah, the Jawhead Suyo combo was their bread and butter 2 days ago, so that could be a potential angle. You can see it. But for VP, it's about the Lucas and the Gatot Kacha. So again, crowd control and brawling potential, but they leave the Jawhead behind, and they will go for the Harith, which I think is much more prio. You gotta give Pookie a winning matchup in lane, I'd say, and a hero that can just enable her to carry onto the late game. The Harith is indeed picked up by RLG. Now then, let's talk about the bans for VP. Will they possibly ban out the Jawhead? Is it even worth it to ban the Jawhead out? Because if they would go for the Jawhead Suyo combo, this Kalea kind of loses its value, because then the Kalea has to go XP and you can't really rotate and roam around proactively like the Jawhead does. And you really want to be proactive with the Tsunami Slams and all that. And if you put the Kalea XP, it defeats the purpose of the Kalea first pick. So I don't think they will go for the Jawhead. They might pair it up with something else. I think the Suyo Kalea is already a very, very strong pick if you want to go for early game prowess. But as of now, it's the 1-1 and the Farsa taken out. The Farsa was posing a bit of a problem for VP last game, so they choose not to gamble it and they take it out of the game for this draft.
Okay, so yeah, they won't do that, and it's like you mentioned with the even with the Kalea, it's funny because before there was a time when Kalea first came out that she could actually be flexed in a couple of different roles, but yeah, they're the one to take out the Jawhead, so RLG will ban it out. They don't want to play against that. They want to pick off potential right now, and they have that on demand for RLG, which is going to be good for them. For VP, on the other hand, I want to see how they're going to go ahead and respond to this. The fact that they have already a lot of crowd control options, but then early game potential with a Lucas, because you saw that even in the last game, the fact that it was RLG that had a Lucas, they really had to respect the timing on Lucas. Like that's the biggest thing, because early game jungle pressure that Lucas brings, especially when he has the form available and he's able to pop it, like Lucas himself can go 1v2 okay, you know, like without a team really being there to support. So that's something we have to watch out for. That Novaria ban, so it's still narrowing down some of the choices here for Jen. Like we said, she did have a pretty good game in game 2, so it'll be interesting to see what she brings to the table here. I hope it's not a, you know, if it's a Vexana, I'm not going to hate it, but it's like, I hope it's not a Vexana. I'm almost hoping they even a chance to bring on an Eve maybe to go ahead and play into, because I think that'd work really well with the Harith, but also the Kalea.
Yeah.
It should be easier to go ahead and grab some of the targets and then play around it. You can just drop the real manipulation around the objectives, but they will first lock in the XP lane. They'll grab the CC, which seems to be a pretty popular pick right now too in the XP.
CC is very strong against tanky members up in the XP, but Chip Airtel pick. Okay, so they want to brawl out with the shortcut, but wait, okay, Lucas Jungle got the Gacha XP. That means that they have that power in the chip as well early on to kind of match the aggressiveness from the Kalea. Because obviously with the Suyo Kalea, you really want to brawl out and you kind of want to fight back, right? And the shortcut enables you to do that somehow. You can turn up a 2v2 into a 5v2 with the shortcut, with the portal opening up. So RLG has to be on their toes for that. What do they pick up here? They are lacking a mid laner. Like you said, a Eve is okay. I think it's early on. Would possibly be picked up as well. It's a very good option if you want to play far back for the poke. But for now, they're going to go for the Vexana. So again, self-heal and Eternal Guard. I don't know. I don't really like the Vexana in the state of the game where everything is just so aggressive and so fast. The Vexana just does nothing, to be honest. When you have a Gacha slamming at you and then a Chip driving his car crashing onto you with a portal, it's hard, but I don't know. Maybe RLG will sort something out.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreement there. Vexana's, again, maybe the biggest thing here is that she brings an extra body to the team fights, but then you get a little bit of appeal with it too. Her damage is just like, for me, it's just okay. It's, you know, it's not going to be like what we saw last game with the Farsa for Jen. So, but maybe that's all right, considering she's up against a Kimmy with Saw. But I think still they're going to have to play around some of the crowd control that this lineup brings to RLG. And really, it's just the same thing, man. It's like, yeah, you have a Suyo. You can probably get some damage rolling early on, too, especially if you utilize that combination with the Kalea plus the Vexana. But ultimately, this is a game where we have to see Pookie come online. Like, she really hasn't been able to have that opportunity yet. So hopefully they get enough time for her. They almost did in the second game. They almost did. Remember, game 1 was like 11 minutes. Game 2 was a little bit longer, around the 15-minute mark. So we'll see if they can extend this one to get a win under their belt for RLG.
So now it's VP. 1 game away to secure match point and series point, tournament point even. RLG. Making sure that they can really figure things out with this Vicana pickup again, right? I mean, again, you have Knocked Up, you have PC, like Niso said, you have that extra body to fight with you if you want to brawl out and match the pressure of the chip. But now, it's up to the Land of Dawn to bear witness to game number 3. It is still RLG Vietnam against VIRTUS.PRO. The Polar Bears seemingly not stopping on their pursuit of MWI. So now we do see Lucas against Sonardo against Sasuke into the jungle.
Was that lower accurate?
It is lower accurate. They cut a lot. They're not friendly, but they're friendly. You know what I mean? It's like a brotherly relationship. Sometimes that's what Naruto and Sasuke does. They fight with each other, and so different this time around in the Land of Dawn. But if we take a look at level 4, I'd give my bets to Lucas. Lucas obviously is going to be much more scarier early on in level 4. I think it'll just up damage Suyo in some degree. The Suyo is smart, turn angle to flank, and I think that's where the Suyo really excels. As of now, though, it's up to VP on matching the rotations early on, because look at RLG. They're going for the rotations far back with the Kalea and the Suyo looking. Turn angle, hill, live. Cow is nearby, and the possible why walk across the map early and easily, and I think that enables the chip to be omnipresent to a certain extent in the Land of Dawn. So far, the Kimmy as well, still just chilling in mid lane against the Vexana. The Vexana might hope because the Kimmy does have that power, but not till it's level 4, where
I was going to be okay. Watch should be 2, a little engage here, and they'll go ahead and back off. So they are going to be fine. Again, the turtle's up now, though, so they'll have to get in position for this. And they go ahead and contest. Still, both teams trying to get those level 4s available. Blanche, too. Once that Tsunami Slam is available, that might be really beneficial here in conjunction with having that Eternal Guard. So they'll go ahead and start it up. RLG faces up the front. Blanche still taking a couple shots. She doesn't have that level 4 just yet. Tiamat, though, does, so she's going to have to join this. Meanwhile, Kao doesn't, so they're just feeling things out. Blanche could be in trouble. There's the pulse once again. Blanche jumps on out. The Eternal Guard's going to go ahead and knock Daisy into the air. She pops through a Vitalize, and she'll jump to safety with the Avatar of the Guardian. So everybody disengaging. So now RLG, they fought for that turtle. They're going to get in position. Kao is here. Goes in. Flicker. Forces the shortcut, but Pun will be able to get the turtle, but the fight's going to break out. Jen's in trouble too. Liv came through the portal, and they're just going to get bodies after bodies after they give up the turtle. They'll get kills on the board for VP.
That's what we talked about in the pregame. This ship can just turn things around. Look very bleak for VP because Shaw was forced back with low HP. And then the shortcut comes in to help and refight after the turtle was stolen forced the RLC. And that is 3 pickups, excuse me, for VP. Helping to accelerate the items. And another. And it can reposition to a better place with the AOG. So I think it'll also be kind of a distraction, a magnet that can just soak in RLG's attention to it, and then the AOG might just be popped defensively to just run back and burn the resources of RLG. As of now, Kao still without the shortcut. Action Pulse just popped, so that's info. That Sa has no ultimate. Item check though. Sky Piercer, first item for this Kimmy. So this Kimmy will obviously be joining the team fights left and right, the skirmishes. You have to expect the Kimmy to be there because she's gonna rack up those stacks. Meanwhile, for RLG, not yet with a major item, still building on towards the Hunter Strike for Poon. And The remainder of VP, yep, they're processing their items very quickly. Even a Wind Talker for the Earthel. So the Earthel is actually already battle ready to a certain degree in the skirmish that might happen. So they'll know, respond, and they have dibs here. Ska might be in trouble. She's gonna be fine.
Well, good aggression right there from Pun, but again, no one going down. Turtle's gonna be up, so this is what we saw just previously. They'll fight for this space. Pun starts it up. But you gotta watch out for Cow. Cow did the same thing last time. Her flicker's available. She could just flicker in, drop the shortcut. That's the plan. Goes in. Nope, hold on. They're gonna lock it in. Tsunami Slam, Avatar the Guardian, right through the shortcut. Star Sword will get the turtle, and now fight breaking out once again. The blast comes through, and Za will unleash the damage as she gets a double kill, forcing RLG back. They just get so much, at least for Pookie, though. She's pushing up this turret up in the top lane. She doesn't get it, though, unfortunately. So again, VP getting a whole lot, and now they're I-7 on this mid turret.
Now they're getting cross-map plays here and there. I mean, Pookie was shoving the wave up top, but eventually it's VP securing the first maiden turret of this game. And if you pay close attention, hold on a minute.
Oh.
Yeah, traction pulse just popped, and it's all fine for RLG. Okay, back to my point. So in that previous turtle fight, Cow actually flickered and crashed forth onto the turtle. So it isn't into a certain member of RLG. I think that was a misclick. But again, still they're able to at least win out the fight and get the objective as well too. One turtle for themselves, 2 turrets to boot as well. So VP looking very sharp in this early game. They're not slowing down the tempo just yet. They have prio on all 3 lanes. Up top, mid, down bottom as well. And as of now, VP, they have so much power if they want to fight hands-on towards RLG. And again, we can make a case for this Vixana not being the pick we expected it to be. I mean, yeah, you have self-heal with Purify, you have the Eternal Guard, but it's not strong enough to exert damage, right? Compared to a Farsa, for example, or even a Yve, or even a Sicilian, if you would argue that. So then where does RLG's damage come from? Suyo, O2. The Herald is far up top, where the chip just creates this unfavorable position for RLG. Aside from that as well, you can really push out the waves and be so far away from your team, but still join the fight because the chip has the portal to play with. So that just gives VP an advantage to play the far lanes and then rejoin the fight in a blink of an eye. And now they're up to the turtle. They might focus this one out. RLG might just relinquish it because they know at this stage of the game they're still unfit to fight the members of VP. VP are strong enough to just walk them down. And now shortcut.
Oh, right through the shortcut under the turret. Pun's gonna be taken out, but they go with a counterplay. They will be able to find Star Soy, so a very decisive move up top of the shortcut. They find the enemy jungler, but they lose both. So the 1-for-1 junglers for both teams, but hey, that was a move that VP wanted to make. They further the gold lead they have, and they still have a minute and a half for the lore to come up. So hopefully RLG can go ahead and scrap what they can to get into a position, I would say, to try to contest that lord, but it's tough. Anytime a chip is in play, you know, realize like that's what you're seeing. This is always that macro pressure that a chip brings to the table, and you really have to stay on your you know, you have to keep your head on a swivel essentially to see where that chip's going to come through. Let's take a look at the items though. Are they pretty far behind? I mean, hold on.
Wow.
Actually, wait, Cow forcing out the flicker from Blanche. Oh, drop the shortcut, and they're going to fight under the turret anyway. Blanche will be taken out. Meanwhile, Star Soy, she got her revenge on Pun in the 1v1.
Okay. That was hilarious because when the shortcut was open, everyone turned right, but Star Soy turned left to look for the Suyo, to look for Poon. And she was able to get the kill, so yeah, that was personal, I'd say, Niso, that was personal. But yeah, I mean, VP, you said it, the macro pressure is way too overwhelming for RLG to deal with. Even the chip now has the fleeting time. So the ultimate wind-up time is easier and quicker now. The cooldown reduction as well, so it's looking to be harder for RLG if the time rolls by the minute. Even VP They're grabbing what they can everywhere around the map, even controlling that deep jungle that RLG has. Now the Lord spawned even a Malefic Roar for Starsoy to add insult to injury. So it is indeed very, very hard. And yeah, like you said, they have to put their head on a swivel because they know that anytime and any minute, any second, a flank might come from the chip, shortcut pop, and everything just goes south for RLG. The Lord stolen, or rather secured by VP. It means that they're cementing their lead even further. And that is an 8k gold lead from VP, if my maths are correct.
Yeah, tough position to be in right now for RLG, as they're going to have to get ready to face a push with this kind of deficit in terms of the items and everything else. Now, granted, it is that first Lord, but there's potential that VP just forces the situation, forces a response from RLG, and doesn't just, you know, come down to the Holy Shields being popped at this point. So they're going to go ahead and manage the waves all to come in at the same time, and RLG is going to have to be on the defense. Saw picking up another item here, the glowing one now, as Lord makes its way in the mid lane. All shields going to pop. The charge comes through, and they will continue on. But right now, RLG clearing things out for now. Liv sitting at half health, took a couple hits from Tiamat, but ultimately the base turrets are still intact here for RLG.
At least the turrets are still up and running for them. Oh!
They're gonna force a fight anyway. Starsoy jumps to the back line, focusing on everybody, zoning them out as well as Pun and Pookie are gone. The trade for Cal, while the turrets are falling in the base, top, next, and bottom, as Saw's going to focus on that one. They might be looking to end the game already for game 3. At under the 12-minute mark, they're going to jump in with one Canyon minion, and Starsoy will find Jen, still looking for more, and that's going to be it as they go to match point, championship point for VP.
That is sweet. As sweet as it gets for VP, VIRTUS.PRO clawing their way into series point, tournament point, in front of their very eyes. And what an early game that was from them. That lead kept on mounting and mounting and mounting, and it was unstoppable. There was nothing that RLG could do to stop that from happening. We took a we had a look at how the chip operated, how it functioned. It was able to look at flying angles. Again, macro pressure. The shortcut was their 6th man. You talked about it. You know, the Eternal Guard. That might be an extra body, right, for RLG.
Yeah.
But VIRTUS.PRO has an entire squad ready to just teleport when the shortcut is popped. So it just makes things trickier for RLG. And again, we talked about the Vexana being picked up. It feels like the Vexana just, like, it was in vain, because it had no damage whatsoever. The pressure that it had was only the Eternal Guard and the Terrify, but that's it. Because how do you stop VP from just steamrolling when they have the lead? But take a look at the scoreboard now. The MVP was shown to be Sa with the Kimmy 6-0-4. So back-to-back MVP Kimmy performances for Sa. I think game 1 it was her with the Kimmy as well, right? Game 2. It wasn't her. Game 3, it was her again. With 6 skills, 5 piercer stacks. You can only imagine how many it has. But yeah, I think the engages from VP was also very, very on point, right? You have attraction pulse going in, the AOG on top of it, and then you have a fox with 9 tails behind its back, just jumping into you and bursting a tailed beast bomb. Yeah, RLG had no room to breathe whatsoever. We did see a few pickoffs happening here and there, but that was it. There was no further follow-up for VP, and everything just went in vain.
It was good, man. It was a clean game, I would say. Clean game. Game 3, the whole series has been... That's been the story, realize, you know? Like, there isn't... I would say there are... I don't want to say there isn't any mistakes being made from VP. Like, clearly there's some, you know, they get a little aggressive here and there, but I think sometimes it's also just to force those situations, and they know how to respond to them. So, yeah, now they're facing championship point.
Championship point on the line, but of course we got to prepare for game number 4, possibly the closure of the qualifiers. So stay tuned, because we'll be back after the break.
は俺に任せて。もらった。四代目他目を超える忍びはお前しかいないと俺はそう信じた。
守るために私はもっと強くなる。今度は背中合わせでいくわよ。
見せてやるよ、シャリンガンの本当の力をな。力が湧いてくる。相変わらずやかましい奴らだ。
Tôi nói các bạn biết này, thời buổi đừng cái tin cái gì trên mạng, các bạn hiểu không? Nhưng mà thôi, không linh tinh nữa. Vào game đi, nhanh, khẩn trương nhá. Ui giời ơi.
Piu piu,
Đỗ Messi,
nuốt 250 của tao không trôi đâu.
tao thích.
Ngày hôm nay nợ máu phải trả bằng nước màu.
Lên đường.
Piu piu,
Đỗ Messi,
piu piu,
Đỗ Messi,
piu piu.
Đỗ Messi. Thôi, ông làm gì làm luôn đi. Đỗ Messi.
Welcome back to the MWI Mekong Qualifiers 2025. Still with me, Realize, and Niso. And obviously we are at the possible end, at the precipice of what could be a 4-0 sweep in which VP has the upper hand, because we are now at tournament point one win away for VP to punch their tickets to the MWI wildcard stages.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for RLG. They could, we want to go ahead and say we don't want to count them out just yet. They could go ahead and turn this around. There's still always a chance, but based on these last 3 games, it looks really grim. It looks really difficult. And a big part of that is just the decision making from VP. Even when they're down in certain phases of the game, they have that knowledge, that experience to be able to go ahead and lock in and turn it around. That's seems to be the case here for VP, and similar to what they went through probably back in the VMC Queens Open, where they also faced off each other, and it was, once again, that was a sweep 4-0 for VP. So RLG, hopefully, as we jump into the draft here for Game 4, they can come up with another game plan. And that's the thing, man. Like I said, I've said this throughout the drafts. Their drafts aren't really the main issue. It's just, again, some of the decision making, and I feel like if they fall behind, they're not really able to go ahead and adjust from that. It just seems like, they're constantly playing to VP's tempo. I would love to see this game where RLG can actually get the tempo set themselves early on, and then they snowball from that. They scale up from that.
I do agree to a certain extent. Yeah, RLG is simply just dictated by VP's, I'd say, ability to set the tempo and to be the ones controlling the game, because time and time again they fell into VP and their pressure. For now, I think the bans will remain the same. It's almost the same still. The Joy and the Hayabusa taken out. The Granger and the Juicin again for VP to close out. The question is, as the Kimmy, will they ban it out again? If they really want to go for Kimmy first pick, they can. They're on blue side right now. For VP, it's up to them whether or not this Kimmy will see the light of day and in game number 4. For now, still waiting for that last ban for RLG. The Baxia might be the chosen one if the if the same things happen again. If you're following the pattern, because as of now RLG will be the ones to take out the Kimmy. So yeah, they're scared. We don't want to play with fire. We don't want the Kimmy to be in the Land of Dawn. And for VP, I think it makes sense. They want to take out the Baxia here. But I think is Baxia that prio though, right? That's the question. If they really want to ban the Baxia here, I think the reason why you ban out the Baxia is trying to deny the Kimmy, right? But
yeah,
I think the Baxia still has value to a certain degree, even if you don't want to ban it out for the Kimmy specifically. But I think rotational plays still does happen if you pick up the Baxia, but I think there's better heroes to fit in that role if you don't have a specific urgency to stop the Kimmy. And yeah, they will take out the Kalea. So the Kalea, with the early pressure, is way too overwhelming for VP to deal with. They take that out. RLG, first pick, Harriet, available. What else? Granger, banned. Baxia first pick. We have seen it happen quite a few times now, so that might happen. But the most sensible thing would be the Harith.
Just go there. Like, and I'm still gonna say that though. Like, even if they get the Harith, it's just like Pookie just hasn't been able to play. Like, you know what I mean? Like her game, because of the nature of these matches and how quick they've ended. This is not what I was expecting, man. Like, I wasn't expecting a Gatakacha first pick. Like for this blue side, because there's a whole lot open here. This could be Harith Phovius if they wanted to for VP. They could also just go like you said, the Baxia is open. If they wanted to go ahead and grab that they do. It's been banned out for the majority of our matches here throughout the Mwi Mekong Qualifier. So picking up the Baxia, which granted can still be flexed. It's not a guarantee that it's going to be a roam, or some teams do like to play it even in the jungle. And like I said, over here in the Philippines, some teams even like to play it in the XP lane.
But I feel like the Baxia in the XP lane is not really. I'd say it's not It's not that it's not viable, but it's just not efficient, because you really want the Baxia to help your jungler to get objectives, he wanted to stick and just play close by with the trio mid. So when that happens in the XP, the Baxia just loses out quite a few times. But again, we talked about this. The Baxia is very good against heroes like Harith, because the Harith, it relies on the shielding from the Chrono Dash, and the Baxia with the ultimate denies it. You can also skip the Dominance Ice if you want to early on to speed up your items. You go for the Molten Essence. That could be a main point. But they pick up the Lucas and the Harith either ways, anyways, and the Harith against the Baxia. At least the Baxia now has a target in mind with that pick with Harith now. For VP, they go for the Suyo as well. So jungler wise, they have that strength as well for the Suyo to play with. Now one last pick. Do they go for that gold lane here before it gets coned out? They do. The 1-1.
Good call.
Again, very, very good pick. Because we saw the pattern, right? Nice. So it was totally banned out. Like they go for the gold lane here, and if they don't, it's gonna be banned out. The 1-1, Airthal, the Beatrix even. So yeah, it's just not worth it to gamble. Less to put you in a losing matchup, like against a Harris.
It's never worth it.
Yeah, it's just hard. So yeah, you go for the 1-1. It's sensible. I mean, Liv also likes to play the 1-1. It's more of a safe pick for VP.
Yeah, you got to remember back in game 1, they had the 1-1 in the hands of Liv, and that was an 11-11 game. That was our fastest one, and then the most recent one that we just had for game 3 was 11-29, dude. So like, VP can end these games very quickly, and even so, a big part of it is still like, what is Saw gonna play for her mid lane, because that seems to be an issue too. And even for RLG, I'd love to see them be able to go ahead and activate Jen. She seems like to be in a way kind of like the saving grace if they really want to get a win here, just in the early game even. So if you could, it would have been nice to see them, or I don't know if it'll go through, but if they can get the Farsa again for RLG, I think that would be maybe one of their best bets to go ahead and control some of the early game, especially when you have a Lucas and you know that VP is going to have to kind of respect that early damage. But it could also get banned out. I'm not sure if that's going to be the last ban from Coach Destined One here alongside VP, because they did have struggle. I feel like they struggled a bit with dealing with the Farsa back when it was played was at game 2. Was it game 2? Wait, game 2 when they brought it out. So they leave it open. They go with the Matilda. They'll ban that out. And this last ban from Coach Dran here from RLG will probably still focus on some of the options here for, I don't know if they want to go and use one for mid, which they could do, because they've got quite a variety here. They got a lot of jungle bans, obviously. That Kimmy was taken out, which has been picked up throughout the series. So they could still go ahead and focus on even an XP lane option. This is interesting. I'm actually surprised they took out the Farsa, because they're also probably worried that VP was going to take it.
Yeah, I think it's very good to pick up the Farsa there. Novaria. Okay, so now what goes well with the rolling beast? Novaria. Because then with the shield unity, you can open up the vision, the bushes, and then Novaria can help that as well with the Astral Echo. So at least VP, they have that prio on the vision, and the Baxia will probably be the one to spearhead that playstyle later on. But the Novaria just puts the icing on top, because with the Astral Echo, you have so much control over the river, over the jungle later on. And Vision is just going to be the name of the game for VP. And now RLG, 2 last picks. What do they go for here, right? I think they might go for AE potentially again with the Vexana. Why do you go for the Vexana again? I don't like that pick. I don't like that pick again.
We have been very vocal about this pick.
Yeah, we have been. We did. We have been very vocal about this Vexana. It is so susceptible to burst damage and to flanks. And this time around, you have a Baxia rolling at you. It makes sense if you want to pick up the Vexana. But again, that's it. You want to pop the Eternal Guard and the Deadly Grasp. But what else?
The problem with that,
you don't have extra damage. Yeah, go on.
Is literally the Baksha can fake you out just to drop the Eternal Guard. Like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that might be enough.
Yeah.
And then a Suyo and now a Phoveus last pick. This is not looking good for this lineup that RLG brought. And maybe it comes down to a comfort thing, right? For Jen anyway. But this is difficult. You look at RLG, they even locked in a Cho. They're not that tanky. Like this lineup in comparison to what VP has is not very strong up front. And they're playing around pick off potential with a Cho. But if you look at this other side, who are you gonna kick? You shouldn't reach the Novaria, right? She should be from a distance majority of the time. So like, who do you kick over here? Do you kick a Phoveus, a Baksha? You know, Liv also, like her positioning is gonna be fine because it's been that way throughout the playoffs. So I think this is going to be a super difficult game for Blanche. Hopefully she can pull it off. She's gotten MVP before. Maybe part of this too is relying on Pun on the Lucas again, and then Tiamat to get the right unbreakable taunts and the jump in with the Avatar of the Guardian. But if Blanche can't get the kicks that she's looking for, she kicks the wrong target. Let's say the Phoveus or a Baksha, for example, even though she, is because who else is she going to go for? Like, that's the only problem, because I just feel like Sa's going to be playing from such a distance that she's not going to be targetable, So we'll see.
And this is it. Judge, jury, executioner. Who will be the team to change their fate? Will it be RLG crashing out and losing off that MWI spot, or will it be VP again being the unstoppable force they have been since the tournament started? It is VP against RLG in what could be the deciding game number 4. So far, I like the point you said that Baxia might just be a curveball for the Vexana once it starts rolling, right? You mentioned it. When the Baxia comes rolling in, like Jen might just be so defensive that she might drop a premature Eternal Guard, and that leaves her very, very susceptible. But down bottom, Pookie is bullied by a 1-1. So yeah, that's not the best thing you want as a Harris. That's a purified burn as well. So that could be info if they want to try and gank out Pookie down bottom. Up top, it's just going to be a brawl between the XP laners. But look at this, they're going for Pookie.
Oh, they know. She doesn't have Purify. She's in trouble. She's going to get pressured under the turret. Starsoy looking for that Soul Sever, and we'll just find Pookie. No. First blood in the hands of Starsoy, already off to a start here for VP.
No, that's not good news if you are RLG. Your Harith, you want it to be dominating in lane. You want it to be ahead against a 1-1 no less, but the Harith is the first member to drop, so now it becomes scarier for RLG. How do they traverse around this early game? How do they traverse around the damage coming in from VP?
Look at this, Daisy Saw working on this 2v1. Meanwhile, still going for it, 2v2. They also get the Revitalize out. So all this before the turtle. So VP is going to have control. See them trying to get a position. Blanche doesn't have the Way of the Dragon yet, so this is just a clear objective. Going to the hands of Starsoy. She secures it for VP, and now the focus here. They're going to lock him down, and Pun already taken out as she falls up after the turtle's taken.
Oh no, it's going south for RLG. Rubbing salt to the wounds. That's VP. All VP again, becoming the forefront team to set the tempo of the game, to dictate how RLG moves and how RLG responds. Because so far, it's VP all over the map again. And another concern I have for RLG's draft is this Cho, right? You pick up the Cho to, number 1, zone out and look for like angles, but number 2 is to play that pick-off style play. But early on, who does this Cho supplement, right? RLG don't really have burst damage aside from Jen, and even then, Jen doesn't really have the damage to deal that burst needed, but Blanche.
Oh, Kyle. Yeah, they don't have the damage. I mean, even the durability to withstand this is so tough. Look at the pressure on the bottom turret. They're just going to zone them out. Blanche's going to be in trouble. She does dodge for a little longer, but finally goes down, and now still going for it. Turtle Guard going to be dropped down, and Pun might join the fight, but she's just going to have to watch as Tiamat falls too as Liv picks up a kill. Pun tries to jump in. wants to possibly fight this, but she's so low. They're gonna get work done. Still shot from the distance as Sa comes up and cleans up the kill. Oh, the turret! As Starsoy will jump on in, picking up another. VP is just in total control under the 4-minute mark.
RLG are complicating an already hard matter. This is difficult for them. How do they get out of this cliff, this loophole that they're able to consistently just care about? Like, it's so hard for them. VP is everywhere. They're exerting the pressure. They have total control. Even the objectives are in their sights now. It's gonna be 2 turtles. It seems like the members of VP. As RLG, they're sweating bullets, aggravating things. And VP, total control of the early game again and again. This Navaria has proven to be so valuable when it comes to you having a Boxia in your lineup. The Boxia can open up the map, so does the Navaria, plus a poke from far away with the Star Shatter. So RLG, they have to be on their feet. But again, 6-0 with so much damage. It's so hard for RLG to work around this. I mean, look at VP. They're running to the jungle.
Oh, Tiamat gonna jump. Avatar the Guardian defensively. It was away of the Dragon on Cow, and now Starsoy waiting for her moment. She's gonna go Soul Sever. Jen already takes the shot, and then the cleanup coming out from and now under the turret once again, under the tier 1, in between the tier 2. Blanche, the Infernal Pursuit is way too much, as another body will fall. As Daisy does sacrifice herself on the Phoveus, but they got everything they wanted for VIRTUS.PRO here. They got a turret and kills again.
This is looking bleak. The more I say it, the more of a reality it becomes, right? VP with the duress to just push on through. Not even complaining. How do you see in the 5th minute, or even the 4th minute previously, a 1-1 just kiting in the enemy jungle? That's like the least you would expect from happening, but VP has made it happen, and they're gonna siege up top even with that shield still on the turret. So this is just going worse, from bad to worse for RLG. VP, they have 2 turrets controlled up top. It's now up to the inhibitor turrets, and even controlling deep on the jungle up top. The 2 are revealed, and Daisy again spearheading the attack. And now the question becomes, what does RLG do, right? How do they recover from this terrible ordeal? Even turtle posing up top for VP to take. Starsoy is just gonna easily secure that as well. And yeah, RLG, I don't know, win cons almost non-existent, I feel like, for them. It's hard.
Yeah, so tough. I mean, look at this Blanche. She's going to take a shot again. She'll stand still. Avatar the Garden going to be used, so Blanche will be fine, but she has to go back to base. And look at this, just the pressure. Tier 2's already gone. There's so much space here to work around for VP, VIRTUS.PRO. They've got a massive lead. 7 minutes in and almost a 10,000 gold lead. There isn't much of a win con here. Jen takes a shot from the Queller. They're going to try to hold on to the tier 2. Blanche jumping in. She's going to go ahead and kick the Phoveus Daisy. Eternal Guard going to be dropped down, but Liv just going to fire off the backside as Blanche is gone. Soul Sever from Starsoy. Tiamat all left to her own on the tier 2, and Daisy will have to disengage, but they'll just get the turret. Eyes still set on the base turrets as the shields are up. They'll clear out the waves to push on in. Again, these shots from Sa are just taking everybody under half health as they get the shields down to the base for RLG.
RLG is just fish in a barrel. And what do polar bears eat? Fish!
Fish.
It's scary for RLG to work their way out of this. I mean, VP not stopping with their pressure. They have full control of basically everything. 3 out of 3 objectives. Turtles up top. They have the turret close down bottom as well. Far lanes pushing out for them. And it's just a matter of time. It's like having a terminal illness. And for RLG, they can't really do anything about this. As VP now, it's all about closing the game and being very careful, because they have to be calculated in their approaches. One blunder might just give RLG the chance to breathe again. And VP, we know their maturity. They don't really like to create those blunders. They don't really make those blunders. And even with the 5-second mark on the Lord, this is their timing to eventually close out the game. They're gonna get the Lord, and this might just be their winning moment. But I think RLG, if we're gonna talk about the high ground defense, they do have it to a certain degree. I mean, the Harriet can clear with the Synchrovision, Fission, and Gen with the Eternal Guard, but that's it. Once those resources are burned down, I think VP will just barge on through the base.
Yeah, the problem with this is they did so much work to get the shields down, so this first Lord is a high chance of just being a game-winning Lord. Liv's so confident in herself that she's just actually going to go and face everybody 1 versus 5, essentially, because she knows that she's so far ahead. She's like 4,000 gold ahead of Pookie. And so she's just picking up the Haas Claws again to go ahead and get some of that sustainability. The Lord will make its way down mid. This is looking a whole lot like the end here for RLG, a whole lot of what they saw back in the VMC Queens Open not too long ago when they got swept by VP. As VIRTUS.PRO gets ready to assault the base, Jen already checked. Lord's gonna charge into the turret. Cal will jump up on the front side. They'll clear out the lanes. Blanche tries to do anything that she can to stop it from ending. Revitalize already gonna be popped. They deal with the Eternal Guard as both base turrets are down, but Liv, again, just popping off the damage on the 1-1. Doesn't even have the airtime just yet, but might be looking for it. They're going to force the fight anyway, as the Soul Sever will come in. And it looks like that's already going to be it, as VIRTUS.PRO will do it again. It's deja vu, as they are your Mwi Mekong Qualifier champions, as they get it in a sweep.
History tends to repeat itself. 2-time champions now. As VP, they secure themselves again a slot to the MWI wildcard stages. And it's RLG on the receiving end of it again and again. And that game just broke the record of a previously broken record as well. It was 11 minutes, the quickest game, and now it's 10 minutes. And VIRTUS.PRO are unstoppable. They cannot be stopped by the players of RLG. Just take a look at the MVP now. It's Starsoy with the Suyo 5-0-7, a perfect game for her and for the entire team, I would say, because everybody did their jobs accordingly. They were able to shut down and again set the tempo straight from the get-go. And RLG was not given a chance to do anything. They weren't able to beat. They weren't able to create proactive plays to respond to what VP were bringing to the table. And now we take a look at the game time, 10 minutes 4 seconds. That's the quickest we've had so far.
That is the fastest.
Mekong qualifiers. It is the fastest, and it's insane how VP themselves are the ones breaking their own record. And yeah, props to RLG obviously for fighting and going this far. But there can be only one, and as we look at the players sharing embraces and hugs here and there, I think they're best buddies in real life. It's consoling. Members of RLG and VP, obviously, they are your team to represent Mekong in the MWI. The champions are VIRTUS.PRO.
VIRTUS.PRO, again, when we started, we came in, we knew that they were going to be a tournament favorite. Again, based on the experience that they've had on previous teams back in MWI last year and what they've showcased here this time, they looked like they were ready to be champions for this, and that they were in a very decisive grand final 4-0, and probably recorded even one of the fastest series wins. I mean, each game was, so dominant. We've had, 3 games that were under the 12-minute mark, the fastest one being the 10-10, and just one of those games being about a 15-minute or so. And again, you could see that they are a team that the way they rotate is very apparent of their experience and everything else, as they're going to go ahead and get ready to lift the trophy again. Congratulations to VIRTUS.PRO for being the champions here. I know they're excited to go forward, man. Again, they get to go compete, and with what they've showcased here, realize this is a team that has experience outside of the group stage of MWI. I expect the same thing from these ladies here to hopefully have an even better placing for the ones that have gone through MWI, but they showed us a whole lot of promise here. They
might just go far, I feel like, in MWI. Again, We saw Xenolil, like you said, last year in MWI 2024. They were able to make it past groups onto the playoffs, but they stopped there. I do see a world where VP might just contest to be one of the best teams in MWI, but still, we can't get ahead of ourselves. They can't get ahead of themselves. They have to focus and, again, fix their mistakes here and there. Even if it felt like a flawless game, but there is still room for improvement, right? Again, they need to remember that they will start from the wild card. It's not from the group stage straight away. They have to fight to wild cards first. So yeah, the VP does have a solid chance, but I think we might have just broken the record of casting the quickest best of 7 in ISO.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, we're going to take a look at the highlights here. Again, very decisive series for VIRTUS.PRO. 4-0. And it looked to be that was going to be the case based off game 1. Like, they came out swinging right away in the series, man. And, you know, they just made it work. And very dominant, very promising performance for them. And I know a lot of people are going to be looking forward to seeing this team compete over in Riyadh for MWI at EWC, because, you know, when you have this kind of showcase, like in your playoffs, your qualifier, the next thing for, you know, these players who have this experience is really to see, like, okay, how do we, like, I'm sure they know they're strong, right? So it's like, how do they fare against the other qualifying MWI teams? I think that's the big, you know, the big question there.
Exactly. Obviously, it's going to be very, very hyped to see them maybe facing Vitality later on, but that is for another day, because that is it from us here in the MWI Mekong Qualifiers 2025. It's been me, Realize, and Niso accompanying you guys. We will see you at MWI 2025. Until then, see you next time.